Live from New York. It's your favorite show's favorite show.
You've used that one before. Now it just sounds like we're bragging.
Well, now we're not the favorite show because you were.
I liked it though, Wiles. I liked it. I liked it.
Thank you, bro.
Repetitive,
We used to be the
but
favorite.
effective.
It's not repetitive. Wemby made his debut and played kind of rough. He played 27 minutes, went 2 for 13. So I know what you're thinking, bro. I've got to abandon my guy. Maybe I'll become a check guy with Wildes. But wrong. Fast forward to game 2, and he played great. In 27 minutes this time, he had 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Here's the full tale of the tape. Game 1, pretty bad. And game 2, pretty good. So, Brew, what was your official reaction to this pair of games?
Guys, I thought it was a perfect weekend for Wembanyama.
Well,
It was because
So better than if he played well twice.
Yeah.
Okay,
because
cool.
he needed to face some adversity.
Okay, well.
Everybody's been throwing flowers at him.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, the best prospect ever.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like this. Gonna be the GOAT. All of that.
that's you. You've been
No,
saying that.
I'm just going off what everybody else, the executives in the league, the anonymous sorts are saying. All right, I'm just saying what they said. All people saying this, and he's a mature kid. It looks like he's really mature, 19 years old, but mature, but he's human. And if you're hearing all of this, if you just dominated a bunch of grown men in France, you come in thinking you're all that. And he learned quickly how strong he's got to get, how much weight he's got to put on, and that how hard he's going to have to work to be effective in American basketball. And then he adjusted even a little bit in a few days. And in game 2, obviously played much better.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good overall weekend. I am glad that he struggled initially and, of course, came back. Now, I'd be a little, it's summer league, but still, be a little more disappointed if he struggled again in game 2. But he came back and played well. I saw nothing, and we can get into some of the more specifics, but, Nick, I saw nothing. What I came away thinking is once this kid puts some weight on, just a little, he's not going to get huge, but just a little bit, get stronger, just growing into his body, which obviously that's a big body to grow into, but getting his natural strength. Once he does that, I see nothing to tell me he's not going to be a superstar.
Okay, so let's get to the weight in a moment. This is almost exactly what I expected he would look like. Immediately impactful and knowing exactly what he wants to do defensively and a total wild card offensively. He is not going to have a lot of those. I mean, it wasn't just the shooting numbers. He was loose with the ball. He was getting pushed around. He looked out of sorts in game 1, which also I think was the fact that he hadn't played basketball in 6 weeks. It's probably the longest, the rustiest he's going to be. And then he's also not going to typically be as good as he was the next game because he is not yet a good, let alone a great shooter. He could be because the form is there, and Brew has pointed this out, and I think this does matter. The free throw percentage being so good makes you believe eventually he will be. But everyone compares him to Durant. Durant was 40% from 3 in college. Durant, now his rookie year, he actually struggled from 3. He was like 29%. But you watch Durant in Texas, you're like, that is a professional scorer that is always going to be able to score. And this is one of I left this weekend very confident that Scoot's going to be Rookie of the Year. I left this weekend very confident that folks who are, and we're going to talk about the MVP stuff, that are expecting him to walk into the league and be awesome are setting themselves up for disappointment. We have talked about the Shaq comp. Shaq was 3 years at LSU. Jordan was 3 years at Carolina. Kareem was 4 years at UCLA. Now, LeBron and Luka walked in pretty awesome offensively immediately.
And even Kyrie. Remember, he was, 11 games at Duke?
Sure, but those guys were, Kyrie was refined is the wrong word, but an offensive, it was his specialty. LeBron and Luka are such different players because it's about court vision and they already had the NBA body. They both came into the league thick and strong and big. And so you guys, Brew brought up the weight thing. You saw, I assume, we can show it, what his agent said. We're not focused at all on weights. I don't want to put weight on his body. We're going to fight to not put weight on his body. Weight on his body is a big mistake. We focus on strength, core.
When did he say that?
This was, it was in an article with Mark Spears that posted this weekend. So I think that's a mistake, because here's the thing that I think we would agree on. If he is going to be effective offensively immediately, it's going to be close to the basket, not far from the basket. Mm-hmm. And right now, he's not strong enough for that. So again, I'm not out on Wemby. I'm out on the overwhelming hype that I think has been put on him thus far.
Let me play you sound after game one, get your reaction. So he pretty much bombed game one. He was totally confident in the post-game meeting or post-game press conference. At the same time, I know you were like, he's going to struggle offensively. He just came over. There's not been practices. They don't have plays. You don't think that he can be dominant offensively once Pop is there? They know what they're doing. He knows where to be on the court.
I think he's going to score offensively because he didn't know his teammates. They had already been playing without him. And Summer League typically is dominated by guards. And you could see, particularly in game two, I love the way he was flashing to the middle of the paint or even on the post. Like, he's not going to just stand there and post up, but he was flashing to his spots. Had the guards been getting him the ball in a timely fashion, I think he would have been more effective and impressive in the post. And he's going to learn when he couldn't do anything in traffic. He didn't even rebound well in traffic, other than that one where he tipped it to himself and dunked it. Yeah. But because of his frame, in his lack of strength, he couldn't do anything in traffic. And he's going to learn he can catch it in the middle of the paint and turn around and shoot it without putting it on the floor. Mm-hmm. Don't put it on the floor and give him a chance to get the ball. He'll learn all of that, and he will be effective early. I think he'll be effective in his first year offensively.
This is my concern for him offensively. I think for him to be a good offensive player, one of two things is going to happen. He is going to have to either get much stronger or a much better jump shot. One of those two, I believe, maybe both, will eventually happen. Neither is going to happen in the next 9 months.
To be good offensively? So what do you envision him averaging offensively?
I initially said, that I thought he was going to be an 18-8 guy. I think depending on if the Spurs, run a lot of stuff through him, I think he still could be around that. But I don't. So, again, I'm talking about the expectations of he is not just number one pick expectations, but transcendent talent expectations. What is being put on this guy is if a decade in, he has one league MVP and one championship, people will say he's a disappointment. Nah. But what do you mean, nah?
If he gets
the expectations are high.
If through 10 years he has won one title and won one MVP, people will say, little underwhelming, a little that's Kevin Durant's career.
But that's
being called the greatest prospect ever.
But that's down the line. But if he averages, I don't know if anybody's expecting him to come in right away and take over the league.
I think he's supposed to win Rookie of the Year. I don't think he will.
I think he's got a great chance to win Rookie of the Year because defense, he's going to be a great defender right away, and that's going to weigh into the award.
And we are in total lockstep on that. I just want to be clear here because it was a weird thing after the first game. After the first game, a lot of our colleagues on social media were like, I guess he's a bust now. Everyone's already overreacting. I was like, I don't think anyone actually has that take. I don't think anyone watched the first game was like, the guy stinks.
Just random.
But I do think it is fair to ask this question. If right now he can get pushed around and he is not a great shooter, and they are not going to have him back to the basket just trying to do like a version of the Kareem skyhook, is the offense going to be far clunkier than people think? I think the answer to that is yes. I think you could be one of the best ball handlers in the league, and at 7'5", you're not going to have a great handle. And I think he wants to be out on the perimeter. I think all of that stuff
I don't think he'll be trying to show off his handle and things like not with Popovich, because you're right. Look, for a 7'5" guy, he's a tremendous ball handler.
Right.
For your average NBA player or perimeter guy, he's a solid. He's not great. So
here's Kenny Smith on his expectations for Wembanyama.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what we're doing. And I love Kenny. I think that is insane.
Why?
Okay, so he will be in year 4, he will have just turned during that season 23. So in the last 40-some years, there's been one MVP that young, that was Derrick Rose. As far as the best players we've seen, Durant won his MVP in year 7. LeBron won his first in year 6. Jordan is the only one of the last 40 years to win one in their first 4 years. And Jordan, as we've said, A, is Michael Jordan, and B, had 3 years of college. This is what I'm talking about. If we have Kenny Smith, who is, I think, as smart as anyone on TV talking basketball, and I think his opinion carries massive weight. He actually is on your favorite show's favorite show, Inside the NBA. If he's saying this, he's priming the audience that if this guy is Kevin Durant through 4 years, he's disappointing. That's crazy
but
to
Nick,
me, Brew.
people are just going off of what they're seeing, and they're giving honest opinions. Jerry West, probably the greatest judge of talent in basketball history. Certainly in the argument. He compared him after game 1 to Bill Russell. Jerry West to Bill Russell. Now, that was before he saw him go for 27 and 12 in game 2. So I think he was overhyping the defense maybe, right? Like, he's going to make a defensive impact. Bill Russell obviously wasn't a great shooter and things like that. So I think he was looking at that. But then when you see the offense come in game 2. Now, I'm not necessarily, Nick, predicting he's the MVP in season 4. What I'm pushing back from your statement is that it's ludicrous to say this. Luka Doncic, in his first 4 years, was the favorite to win the MVP twice. Now, he finished in the top 5 twice in his first 4 years. LeBron finished in the top 5 twice in his first 4 years.
Yeah.
So people thought Luka was going to win the MVP one of those years in his first 4 years. He didn't, but he was thought he could.
He was, and LeBron
now, so
came in
to
second
think, like, I'm telling you, you could see the raw material there that once he learns the league, once he gets used to the NBA game, once he gets a little stronger, this guy is going to be dominant.
And so this is where I will be clear that I guess I'm on the more skeptical side on the Wembanyama, bell curve. He is not as good. He might be as better long term than Luka. He is not as NBA ready as Luka was.
No.
He is not as NBA ready as LeBron was. So for those, you're right, those guys were legit MVP candidates after their second year. I do not think he is going to be that. Now, if people want to argue he has more upside than Luka because he can be dominant on both sides of the ball, I'll listen to that argument. But we were talking about Luka after the Western Conference Finals run about him being one of the 5 greatest offensive players in.
Not we. I don't think we. I don't mean me and you. I just mean the NBA.
No, but you
community,
and me had the discussion about him being one of the 5 best offensive players ever. And we talked about how the defense could hurt him, all of that, because of what he had done through his first 5 years. I do not believe Victor Wembanyama is going to be a good plus offensive player for the first 2 years of his career.
I think Wembanyama will begin to play at an all-star level. Now, he may not make the all-star, but an all-star level either toward the second half of his rookie year, or in his second year at the latest. Kevin Garnett, who was 215 pounds as a rookie and 6'11", so he was thin. He averaged 15.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, almost 2.5 blocks, with like 55% shooting over the last 2 months of his rookie year. Took him a little while. This kid, second half of his rookie year, he will begin to show all-star form and play at that level.
If you want to see more of Wemby, well, you can't. You're going to have to wait. He is so impressive in these interviews.
Yeah.
It is shocking that he's 19. All right, Brew, are you okay with shutting Wembanyama down?
I'm not going to kill it because obviously you could get hurt and the Spurs know what they're doing, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all, and I know he's been busy since the draft. It's been a rough month for him, and the French finals ended in June, kind of like our finals. So he's been playing a lot of ball. But this is to me just too cautious. All right. He clearly, and I think Nick will agree with this, needs to play. He needs to be playing the American brand of basketball so he can figure out how much stronger he needs to get. He was losing his balance on his dribble several times. That's because of the speed of the game. You're playing faster. Your handle you have to do it against faster and quicker players, and you're moving as fast as you can when in France maybe you can do it a little slower. So he's got to get used to that. All right, so he's going to have plenty of time after Summer League. I'm not saying he had to play every game, but plenty of time after Summer League to rest and get in the weight room and get stronger and all that. Let the kid play. And I'm a firm believer that you build up a resistance to the impact and the strain that you put on your body in a basketball game by playing more, not by playing less. And the injuries we see now with all these dudes load managing are ridiculous. We're load managing Summer League.
Okay.
It's
so
ridiculous.
I agree with the long-term sentiment of everything Bruce said. I'm a big believer of don't wear your coat in November. That prepares you to, you know what I mean, not be that cold in December. And that's the sports version of it. Here is why I, despite all of that, totally agree with this decision. I don't want him to be load managed as a rookie once the regular season starts, any of it. Summer League guys too reckless.
Oh.
Guys are literally playing for their NBA lives. They're going to be a little less coordinated. There's going to be more diving for loose balls, which you don't even want in the regular season games. And that is where guys get hurt. Particularly a guy who is 7'5", and anybody on, you know what I mean? Anytime he falls, it's going to take some while to get used to him. He's been falling his whole life. We've only been watching him fall a little bit. Every time it's like, oh my God.
But that's on us.
Of course. No, I understand. But it is still, the same reason that at training camp, you're not even allowed to, when NFL teams have 90 guys out there for training camp, you're never allowed to touch the quarterback. We've seen videos of guys getting yelled at for just coming close to the quarterback. Because guys who are desperate and trying to impress are going to play, I'm not talking about that, but are going to play a little out of control.
Would you be okay if you wore a red jersey?
Well, so that's the thing. And so in Summer League, I'm fine with them shutting him down. But one of the reasons I believe Scoot's going to win Rookie of the Year is I think he's going to miss 20 games his rookie season.
Because of injury?
What? No, because they hold him out. I'm saying.
Scoot's already missed
I know,
but
I understand where you're coming from, and obviously with the Spurs, you have to consider that. I also would think that they wouldn't plan on, I know they may not care about individual awards. But I don't think they'd plan on him not even being eligible.
He's got to be
for
eligible.
Rookie of the Year. I think their goal is probably 65 games.
The exact 65 number, so he's eligible.
Pop's not down with load managing. He was the impetus of, like, I want Kawhi out there playing.
Well,
yeah, but
he started load management, but the way he did it with Duncan and those guys was they would play 80 games or so, but it would be lesser minutes, so 30 minutes or 3 minutes or something like that.
Zion wants to be more like LeBron.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.